Howdy y'all, I'm going to do a quick review of Exam 4, the test that y'all just took on eCampus. And before I get started, I want to let y'all know that eCampus randomized the question order as well as the correct answer choice for all the students. So the order that I'm going through and the actual letter choice that I get is probably going to be different from yours. So just keep that in mind as I go through these. So starting out with my number 1, we have an acquaintance that bought 50 Angus heifers and he plans to breed them to Brahman bulls. And he wants to sell those females at a premium. And he asked you to describe what he should expect to see. So let's just write down, we have Bos Taurus heifers, we have completely Bos Taurus heifers, and then we have completely Bos Indicus bulls. And we all know that when the bulls have a lot more Bos Indicus than the females, which in this case is complete opposites, that we're going to see some increased in birth weights. So B is correct in this case. The answer choice that y'all have says male calves much heavier than heifer calves. I had to make the correction here, but we know that the male calves will be much heavier than the heifer calves when we have a lot of Bos Indicus in the bull compared to the female. And since these are Angus heifers, we can expect to see much dystocia and calving because of those higher birth weights that we're going to see since we have so much Bos Indicus in the bull. So the correct answer choice for this is E. Continuing on to number 2, 3 of the very most important things for this course that I want you to leave understanding. So while breeding systems are very important to understand, it's probably not one of the most important things that he's asking for, the very most important things. Bovine, ovine, and equine, yes, it's important to know the species names, but it's probably, once again, not one of the most important things. Mendel's laws of inheritance, importance of maternal heterosis and epigenetic inheritance. While epigenetic inheritance can be important, it's not one of the things that we cover super heavily in this class. So production system complementarity, importance of direct heterosis, and prediction of swine performance in rotational systems. So the latter, we can go ahead and cross that one out. It's not one of the very most important things. While direct heterosis is important, it's probably not what's most emphasized in this class. So I'm going to go ahead and cross out number E. So the correct answer on my page is A, so the importance of maternal heterosis. We talk about how important maternal heterosis is all the time. The non-Mendelian inheritance and birth weights, and possible fertility in Brahman crosses. And then production system complementarity. Those are all 3 things that we spent a lot of time on, so that is the correct answer. A good cattle breeding system rule for you to remember for the rest of your life is never breed Bos Taurus heifers for their first parturition to Bos Indicus bulls. That's kind of like question 1 that we went over, so that is something good to remember. Always breed Brahman heifers to Brahman bulls. That's not always the case. It's definitely not in all ways, so it's not this one. Never breed Hereford heifers to Angus bulls. That's Bos Taurus on Bos Taurus, so we won't see any of those increase in birth weights. Never breed Brahman heifers to Angus bulls. Since the bulls are Bos Taurus, we won't see those increase in birth weights either. And then never breed Brahman heifers to Bos Indicus bulls. That would be Bos Indicus on Bos Indicus, so we wouldn't see the increase in birth weights either. But since we have Bos Indicus bulls and Bos Taurus heifers, we would see those extremely high increases in birth weight. So for that is the answer. So moving on to number 4, we usually consider heterosis to be favorable in livestock production. An exception is heterosis expressed for. So we're looking for something that may not be a good thing when we see heterosis in it. So we know that reproductive traits are incredibly important, so we like to see heterosis in those, as well as things such as survival traits and growth traits, which would be D and E. And there's actually some favorable response to heterosis with rectal temperature in cattle. But we know if birth weight gets too high in cattle, which can sometimes happen because of heterosis, we can start to see some issues with dystocia. So the answer for number 4, an exception for favorable heterosis expression, is birth weight in cattle. Number 5, you were driving on US 84, headed to visit good people in Swisher County. And you see, as you're driving, you see a sign that says Mills County Meat Goat, capital of Texas. So what goat breeds would you might expect to see here? So for a letter A, we know Nubian is a dairy breed, so it's not going to be A. Boer is a meat breed, and Spanish goats are often used for meat too, but once again, not Nubian, because Nubian is really a dairy breed. Boer in Spanish is yes, but we're going to go ahead and look at the other ones. La Mancha and Saanen, once again, we think of them as dairy breeds or specialty breeds, and same for letter E. So the correct answer for this one, what breeds would you see as meat goats? You would see the Boer goat and the Spanish goat. Question number 6. A thoroughbred stallion is mated to his daughter, the foal that is born. So we're looking for that foal's inbreeding coefficient. So I'm going to go ahead and draw out a little pedigree. So we have this stallion. We're going to have stallion X, and then the mare Y, and then the foal that is born Z. So he's mated to his daughter to produce Z. So not only did he produce Z, he also produced Y. So we know that F of Z is going to be half the covariance of X and Y. So the covariance of X and Y, we're going to look for pathways between X and Y. And the only pathways you can get between X and Y is Y to X. So it would be a half to the first because we only have one arrow. You'd write it out like this in your table. And so since F of Z is half the covariance of X and Y, F of Z would be a quarter. So the correct answer for this thoroughbred stallion who's mated to his daughter, that foal born will have an inbreeding coefficient of a quarter. Number 7, any crossbreeding system in which bulls have a higher percentage of Brahman or any Bos indicus than cows. So we're back to our Bos taurus, Bos indicus reciprocal cross birth weight differences. So we already know that this is not a good idea. The birth weights will be so incredibly high if you have a whole lot more Bos indicus in the bulls compared to the cows. So any good option is probably not going to be so great. Whoop is definitely not it. Artificial insemination will not change anything, so it's not C. And it's not E. It's definitely our privilege to know this. It's important for us to know this. So the correct answer is caution. There's a potential for heavy birth weights in calves, along with dystocia and economic loss due to non-Mendelian inheritance.